You're listening to Generation AI
from Live Person.
Welcome to Generation AI. I am Ruth Zive, your host today, and it is a pleasure to be speaking today with Nir Galpaz. Nir is Group Vice President of Technical Services and Support at 8x8, a cloud communications platform. Now, I've known Nir for a few years, and I know him to be a real innovator and a trailblazer and someone who really understands the opportunities that AI is bringing to this market. So today, we're going to discuss everything about the state of AI in tech support and in CX and what it means for the job market and which verticals are ahead of the curve. So I'm excited to get started. Welcome to Generation AI, Nir.
Thank you, Ruth. This is super cool to see you again and talk about the things that are top in mind. And I think there's no other stronger buzzword in the industry these days than AI. It's everything AI, and you get the chicken wing is going to be AI infused. Everything is AI. So I'm super pumped about that, and let's jump into it.
I agree. We are long overdue for a conversation, and I think no better topic of conversation than AI. So maybe for purposes of our conversation today, it would be good to just do a level set for both of us. Nir, a lot of our work is about demystifying the hype and even in many cases the threat of AI. So I'd love for you to share with our listeners as what you see as the state of AI right now in technical support and in the CX world.
I think you touched very good points here. So there is the hype, and on the other side of it, there is the people that are looking at it as a big threat. My point of view is somewhere in the middle. I think that AI is a huge opportunity. It can change, and it is changing the way we do things, but it's not a threat. It's augmentation to human skills. It's not a replacement. And when it is a replacement, it's replacement for jobs or tasks that most people don't want to do and prefer not to do. It's tedious, it's repeatable. It's things that you can do faster and more accurately with a machine. So I look at that, and there's two aspects, and they're kind of connected. Uh, there's a lot of hype because people think that this is going to change the world, and in 2 years from now, everything going to fly automatically and everything will be automatically. I don't think that's going to happen. And on the other side of the boat, you have people saying, "Oh, that's going to make us all redundant. We won't going to have any job anymore." It's neither this or that. It's somewhere in the middle, and it's a great opportunity. It's not a risk. You just need to understand how to play with it, and then it's going to make all of our lives, I think, much better.
So this isn't keeping you up at night. And what I'm hearing, if I can just replay it, is that you really see this as an opportunity to augment human skills, to really make us better, more efficient, more effective. And so do you think at all about just letting AI loose on the masses, or in the context of your world, is it really about how we make this more efficient in the workforce?
So if I really kind of try to open up my mind, I think there is aspects of AI that I am more concerned about. And I think there is a way to deploy and use AI that is responsible and it's accurable. And that's where I spend kind of most of my focus. I'm not a big believer that, or not a bad believer. I don't necessarily want to see AI everywhere doing everything, because it's flood the world with so much inaccuracy, hallucination. So I do believe in humans, and I think humans are much more important and smarter than the machines. And as long as we keep everything in the right place and control it, then it's great. Other than that, eventually, maybe, who knows, we're going to find the rise of the machines and the Terminators and all of those things. So I'm not giving here a free card for AI. I think in my work, or any other work, if you put it in the right governance on how and when and how it's helped humans, then it's great.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's maybe a good segue to just take a step back. Talk a little bit about how you got interested in AI in the first place, and when it started really impacting your work. And if you're comfortable, maybe share a little bit about how all of this plays into your work today.
So I've been doing technical service and support for over 25 years. So I've rose all the way from being just a technical support engineer and taking and closing tickets myself and then managing a team and a group and so on and so on. And I think about 10 years ago, even more, they started to talk about automation. And automation was the first big buzzword. And to be honest, that never really clicked well with me because I couldn't see exactly what we're automating. And in other ways, automation was a replication of scripting. And I don't like scripting. I don't like when people, instead of being people, they start repeating text that they read from a page. And I didn't like it. So I say, no, I don't think that's going to kick in. Some organization definitely work with those scripting automation. And I think all of us as users and consumers don't like them. Then a few years later, and I can't really say exactly when, it's probably 6 years ago, I think the next evolution of automation for me was really, okay, let's think about how we can replace or augment those tedious works that we do on the front line, like resetting passwords and questions that we ask ourselves, 50 times a day, how we can do them faster and better. And chatbots came to mind. And the first chatbot that were invented was relatively strict and they were not too sophisticated. You taught the bot what to do and he will do exactly what you teach him. And then later, with mainly the progression in generative AI and ChatGPT and all of that, it's really opened up the flood for so many different tools that use this generative AI. And then you open up your mind and say, wow, in this particular space of technical service support, customer success, you can do so much with it because there's so many different pieces of data. And if you really have something that is super smart and connect all of those things for you, I can actually reach out and talk to customers instead of 3 of them a day. I can actually save me time and do it with 20 people a day. So I'm super excited about all the options and things I can do with AI. And if we have a chance, I can tell a little bit more of the different areas of the organization that we utilizing AI for.
Yeah, talk about that. Maybe just a few examples of use cases and where you really, because I do think that the world of technical support and CX are sort of, on the front line of this innovation, and we really are seeing the most practical use cases and most meaningful appetite around the possibilities in those domains. So I'd love, you're very much immersed in that. Talk a little bit about what that looks like practically.
So the way I look at the CX experience is there's really two sides of it. There is the self-service side, which is where you try to take as much as care as you can of the customer needs without an intervention from the company or human. So on that part, we're using different type of chatbots to screen and help either navigate you to the right department or ideally give you the right answer or even more advanced, do the work for you. So instead of just explaining to you how to reset your password, reset the password for you. So we're exploring multiple aspects there of taking action with the bots. There's, of course, all the AI tools that come into the search engine and how you search our knowledge base, our community, and all of those tools that are AI powered. And again, we truly believe in that if you give users the power to solve the problem, most people in this uh, age, DNA of age, will prefer to find its answer and do it themselves. So we're trying to equip as much as we can, and we use multiple different providers that use different type of AI to search faster, quicker, and even more important, accurately. When if all of those aspects on the customer side didn't work, the flow will come into someone within 8x8. Now, how do I make my employees more available, more relevant, and able to serve our customer better? And there is so much excitement on that part. And just looking at the very basic stuff of just written communication. How do you improve your written communication, making sure that you can rephrase quickly, write it nicely, and not using script that somebody wrote before? So we are all using on a free world. There's a couple of those software that are all generated by AI. I use it all the time because it makes my writing much nicer. And when we equip our agents and engineer with it, you suddenly see that people write such a clear answer to a question, and it's a beneficial for both sides. So that's a prime example where AI is really augmenting. It's not replacing the human. It just make it easier.
So this is what a lot of people talk about. We talk about this at Live Person, agent assist or co-pilot, right? So this is really where you've mentioned that it's about augmentation. It's about making people better. You said a few times that you hate those scripts. It always strikes me that like the scripts make people less human, right? Like I know as a customer when my agent is reading off of a script, it is obvious to me. So
Script
this
makes human machines. It's completely the opposite story. So
you want to do the opposite. You want to use the machines to make humans more human. So it sounds like that's kind
exactly,
of what you're
it's about humanity and how you make those bots or machine learning capabilities more humans and keeping humans, not more machines. And I think that what people have missed so many times, as someone that you call an airline or you call a cell phone provider, whether they're here or in Canada or any other region, it's a nightmare because you can see they read from a script. They don't treat you as a human. And on the contrary, you can find bots today that you communicate with them and they almost human. And they recognize when they can't do something and they will give you the right option. I really think in this particular use case, it's very, very helpful. So the text is very basic one. There is a full agent assist tool that really search and help you find a tool. Then you combine that with rewriting your text, and then you have an answer which is validated, rewritten, and you get it in milliseconds rather than searching multiple different, um, different knowledge articles or repositories or bug tools. One of the biggest problems for a large organization or even mid-sized organizations is to find all of this knowledge. Now, finally, you have a machine that read all of those things much faster than I can. On top of it, there's a good search algorithm. Voila, finally, I don't need to search for it. It finds it for me.
once the agent has been freed of the burden of having to go search for those answers, they can spend the time to even tailor the recommended answer in a much more personalized way so that the customer is getting a response that makes them feel valued and appreciated.
It gives them, in the more complicated cases, the ability to do a real research and due diligence rather than jumping into the most easy answer. It gives them the opportunity on the customer care level to become more caring because they're not that stressed out to get to the next level or next case. It's purely an opportunity. It makes our life so much better. So when people talk about the risk, it is a risk for somebody that doesn't want to do a complicated work or just want to deal with stamping, envelope at the post office. It is a risk for those, but it's not a risk for thinker. It's not a risk for people that want to do better, that people that want to go and progress in their life. It's a great assistant. Um,
So jobs would be at risk for those people that are just rubber stamping, that are looking to kind of punch a clock, rubber stamp. And there are people who are looking for that. Um, but I agree with you. Those are probably the jobs that are more at risk. But for people that are curious, that want to deliver more meaningful support to their customers, who want to learn, can you think of other ways that these rubber stamp jobs might be changed as you imagine, like over the next, let's take a short term time horizon, over the next 2 to 3 years? How do you see those jobs, even for the people on your team, evolving?
so in my world, I see that the more basic level interactions that are transactional, a lot of them will be minimized because the self-service tools we have, including all the automation, will be able to answer all of the things or the majority of things that are predictable. That will force the people that stay out there and do this work to deal with exceptions, not with the norm. It's going to be things that doesn't work according to what the plan was. And that, again, will require those people to be able to think more rather than just into unplug the cable, plug the cable, or reset your computer. It will force them to do a different work. Now, I assume and hope that the people that we hire are all inquisitive and want to do it. If they're not, they're probably going to need to find another place that will let them continue to stamp those envelopes with the same answer again and again.
Yeah. Well, this is not a phenomenon that we haven't experienced before.
It's no different than the industrial
assembly line.
revolution.
That's
And
right.
if you think about tractors was a huge risk for the people that was selling oxes or any other animal for the farm. We learned to deal with it, and instead of selling horses, they're selling something else. The world needs to continue to evolve, but it's not a risk. It's not a human replacement. It's a human augmentation and improvements. Because if I don't need to deal with all of those tedious works, and if I find an electronic assistant that can help me run through emails and do this work for me, then I can use my brain for the thing that I really want to use it for, to think
I agree.
and
And even
plan.
agreed. Even the data around agent attrition kind of supports this theory. They want to be doing interesting, more meaningful work. I can hear sometimes when I'm on the phone with an agent who's struggling to get me an answer because they don't have the benefit of an AI enabled workspace. They want to do right by me as the customer. They just can't. So I agree with you completely. I do want to shift gears a little bit away from the agent and talk about the end customer a little bit. Because I've heard you say that it's important for those of us who work in tech to really understand that we're living in a different world from our customers. And we actually at LivePerson just did some super interesting research. We published what we've called the state of customer conversations. And we definitely found a gap between how businesses are thinking about AI and how end consumers are thinking about AI. So I'm interested in your perspective on what you see as that gap and how you think we have to better get into the minds of, the end user or our customers.
So I think what I've seen and what I've read, and also what I experience as a consumer myself, there is an inherent fear about automation, tools, machines. Um, we fear from them, whether it's because we saw too many movies or because it's a legitimate fear.
Or because we've had bad experiences.
Or because we had a lot of bad experience, specifically, I think in the early days, it was horrific. It was just difficult. Um, so the question is really, how do we help educate our customers that it's okay and it's not a threat for them and it's going to make their life easier? There's, I think, multiple steps to do it, and it need to be, step by step. It's not going to be a big bang and everybody be converted. And the thing that I've learned that are helpful is to assure your customers that in any given point they always have an easy button to jump to talk to a real person. And I know that some companies will able to eliminate human persons at all, but I think that's a very controversial step. So I think as long as you promise and you show the person that is engaged with the machine that in any given moment you want to abort the system and just go back to what you know, you can still do it. That's one thing. Second is always don't try to impersonate and say, hey, my name is something, and play that you are human, because you're not. It's very easy to find, even the most sophisticated NLP engine. In a 30-second conversation, you understand that's a non-human. So don't try, you can call yourself with a name, but say, I am not a human. I'm this. These are my limitations. Um, and then the last thing, which is probably true for everything in life, is just get feedback, learn from this feedback, make adjustment. It's not a short process of implementation. It requires a lot of fine tuning to understand all those points of contention between you and your users to get to a point where it's a better harmony and it's actually working as it needs to be. But I can definitely understand why a lot of people are hesitating, and it's a generational thing as well. Um, I believe that the younger generation have much less fear from that. If you take people my age or my parents, don't know if that's ever going to work. So we need to realize it's not for everyone, and that's why I said if you leave an option to bail out the process and go to a live person, then maybe that's an alternative.
Yeah, well, for what it's worth, you're spot on. Our research found exactly that brands have an incredible appetite to roll out this technology. In fact, I think it was more than 90% of executives are more bullish on AI than they've been historically and plan to roll it out. But consumers, on the other hand, are tentative, and their appetite is significantly lower than that of executives. And so all of the points that you've listed, great advice to the businesses that are bullish on this technology, as they should be, but they've got to do it thoughtfully in a way that's considerate of their customers' interests. So you're spot
To,
on.
to that point, I think one more thing I would say is that historically, businesses look at that as a business opportunity to reduce cost. And I strongly disagree with that approach. Well, I think eventually you may reduce cost, but that should not be the driver for that. The drive for that should be improving your customer experience. And I can see as a consumer, again, when I can go through an automated fast process, I'm super happy. I will take that every day comparing to listening to music on hold and bouncing around people. So I think if you emphasize on that and you explain to your customer base, hey, this is not to help us improve our margins as a company, it's for you. So you can find this question faster to resolve your problem faster and more accurately. Fine. And if you think about the world, we all got used to, we're able to go in online, see our balance check and all of that. 10 years ago, you needed to either call or go to a branch. I think most people, even my dad, I believe, check his accounts online these days. It takes time, but it really helps. If you tell me now, go and pay my cellular bill in a cellular phone store, I'll say, you know what? I'll give up the cellular. I don't need it. We don't want it anymore. It's education, and it's gonna take some time, but I'm certain it will get there. And the point again, it's for the customers. It's not for us as a company. We will benefit from it as a second wave, but the focus should be what it looks from the customer perspective. And then I think you build it in the right way and implement it the right way.
Totally agree. We could keep going here, but I know we're near time, and we always like to close out these podcasts with what we call our hype it or hate it segment. So I'm going to call our producer to join us, and we're both going to rant a little bit.
Hi. All right. So Ruth, Nir, how are you feeling? Are you ready for this?
We're ready.
I'm ready, always ready for a good rant.
I love it. All right. Me too. Keeps things lively. Okay. Let me get the clock ready.
I'm going first, I think.
You are going first, Ruth. Okay. I'm setting the clock. Ruth, you know the drill already. We've done this before. When you hear the buzzer, your time is up. I will let you know when you're at 30 seconds, 10 seconds. And Ruth, your 60 seconds starts now.
Okay, today I'm going to talk about something that I absolutely hate. In fact, I loathe it. I have one of those wearable devices. I'm not going to call them out by name, but it tracks my sleep, among other things. And I started wearing this thing about 2 years ago. And honestly, since then, my sleep has just gotten worse and worse. It's something about like the anxiety of being scored or of knowing that my sleep is being tracked. And most days, it's just hard for me to sleep peacefully having this knowledge. So it used to be before I had this device that I just took my sleep for granted. I didn't really ever think about it. I just went to bed at night and I slept. And then most days I felt great, but some days were not so good. But now I have all of this information. There's efficiency and restfulness and latency and timing with graphs and warnings and scores. And I'm more exhausted than ever. So now that I vented, I'm thinking that I'm going to toss my wearable into the trash and hoping that in return I will sleep much better.
All right, that's it. Awesome. Okay, Nir, how do you feel? What do you think about what Ruth's hating this week?
Actually, I'm gonna take it as a hype. I love wearables. I have a collection of about 15 of them. I try every single type of thing that comes out there. And my story is I always had a very, very light sleep. And I couldn't explain it, and I couldn't explain anybody that I was sleeping with that I really wake up all the time. And they say, no, you sleep all the time. So I got a device and I was able to find and say, hey, you see,
Oh, so
I
it's
don't sleep.
validating.
It's validating what I already knew. Now, to tell you that it's improved my sleep, it didn't, but at least I know what I knew before and I have a
At least
mathematical
you
way
don't
to
feel
show it.
gaslit anymore that people don't believe
Yes.
you.
So I collect tons of metrics and I look at all of them and analyze and compare them. To tell you that it changed any of my patterns of sleep, it didn't, but it made me feel good. So I actually like those.
Same conclusion as me, except that you like it, I don't.
Exactly.
All right, I love it. Okay, Nir, do you have yours ready? Are you ready to go next?
Yes, I am.
All right, well, your 60 seconds starts now.
Well, I don't know if I have 60 seconds all about that, but I really don't understand the hype around boba tea. My kids, everybody around, every place I go around, it's boba and boba and boba and boba. First, excuse my British friends, I don't like tea from the first place. I drink it only when I'm sick. Second, if I drink a tea, why do I need all of these floating things there? And I don't understand why. I definitely don't understand why it's so expensive. And I'm at loss. But I think I'm a minority because everybody around me just loves it.
All right, he's made his point with 20 seconds to spare. Ruth, what do you think about boba tea? It's very popular among Gen Z these days. What do you think?
So interestingly enough, I also don't like tea. I never got the hype of like wet leaves. I love coffee, but wet leaves to me taste like wet leaves. So I'm not a big tea drinker, but I love boba. I love the texture of it. And so I'll get like the boba smoothies that have the tapioca in it. I love it. But I do agree with you, Nir. It's like $12 for a boba, which seems ridiculous.
Don't get it. Maybe one day.
Well, that's a good one to have chosen. And with that hype it or hate it segment, I think that brings this podcast to a close. Thank you so much today for joining us, Nir. That was a really, really interesting and validating discussion for me. I know we see eye to eye on a lot of these matters, and it's great to catch up about all new things AI related. Why don't you share with our listeners where they can find you if they want to learn more about you?
Where the best way to find me is on my LinkedIn profile at Nir Galpaz at LinkedIn. And I'll be more than happy to connect and share thoughts and listen and learn from others.
Awesome. Awesome. And to all of you that tuned in for this episode of Generation AI, make sure that you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so that you won't miss the next episode. Thank you so much, Nir, and we will talk again soon.
Thank you very much, Ruth.
You've been listening to Generation AI,
Automating Better Business,
a show from LivePerson.
Never miss an episode by subscribing to the show in your favorite podcast player. Please give us a rating, leave a comment, and share the episodes you love. Until next time.